Hi, I'm Bonnie Barker with BonnieBeadCrochet.com, and you've come to video number 5. This is the final video in the Basketweave diamond throw. Okay, so this is what you should have at this point. We should be all done with the rows. We should have our center Basketweave diamond motif, and we should have both panels looking symmetrical. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a closer look at this. Okay, so let's go ahead and start that. We're going to work a single crochet in each stitch across. So go ahead and work that all the way across to the corner, and do not go any further than that. Chain one, and then we'll come back. So right now we're just doing single crochet all the way across. Okay, once we've finished crocheting the single crochets all the way across, we're going to chain one. Now we're going to work the other direction. Okay, so we're going to skip the first stitch, and we're going to crochet the knurl stitch, which is the reverse single crochet or a crab stitch, and we're going to go through both loops like this. It's a little different than what we had worked earlier when we worked only through the front loop. We're going to go through both loops, and this is going to be our edging along the side of the throw. Okay, you can see it's kind of hard to see what I'm doing. I'm just going the opposite direction through both loops and then working the motion of a single crochet. Okay, so do that all the way along the edge until you get to the last stitch, and then we're going to work a reverse slip stitch, and I'll show that to you when we get there. Okay, after doing the knurl or the reverse single crochet all the way across, I come to the last stitch, and I am just going to work a reverse slip stitch. Just stick it through the two loops, pull the thread through, pull the thread through. You can even give that a little tug so that it kind of evens up that loop so it's not too big there. Alright, I'm going to chain one. Now I'm going to turn to work across the row ends. Okay, after working the knurl stitch and the backward slip stitch, we're going to turn. You should have the back side of the afghan facing you as you go across. We're going to work 144 stitches from one end to the other end, or from this corner to the next corner. Okay, and an easy way to do that, I am going to take something called a knit clip. It's a little marker, and I've gone ahead and marked where the center of the afghan or throw is, which I'm lining it up with the center diamond Basketweave motif here, and I'm just guessing where the center is, and I just put a little marker there. So if we take 144 stitches and we divide it by 2, you get 72. So from here to the halfway point, which is marked, and by the way, you don't need a fancy clip or anything like this to mark it. You can use a contrasting, strand of yarn, or anything that you just happen to have around your house. Stitch marker, or even just a little hair clip or something would work. Just something to tell you that that's the halfway point. So if you do 72 stitches from here to the halfway point, it's a lot easier to work out the numbers evenly and not worrying about having to rip out all 144 stitches as you're trying to do these evenly across. So I'm just going to go ahead and start. I have chained 2 for the corner, and I'm going to start there, just kind of space them about, just as you would normally evenly crochet, and that'll give you an idea of what you need to do to make these even as you go. A lot of times I can just put one in each row end, but when you have the single crochets close together, that may be a little tight. But so do what you can. Work 72 stitches from here to the center, and I'll check back with you. Okay, now that I've gone and done my 72 stitches to the center, I'm going to go ahead and mark this number 72 stitch right here. And the reason I do that is if I need to rip out to get these even for the second half. I don't have to rip them out all the way to the beginning, but I can go to 72. I know that to this point that these stitches are good. So now I'm going to just continue to do the next group of 72 to the next corner. Okay, now that I've gotten the second half, or the other 72, so that I now have 144 from corner to corner. And a full disclosure here, I did take me a few tries doing the second half. The first half went along no problem. I've gotten 72 to the marker, but going from the marker to this corner, I had to do it 3 times, but I did get the 72 evenly. Okay, now let me explain. I just finished, according to the pattern, row number 3. Okay, instead of having one big perimeter round, the pattern broke it down into 3, actually to 4 rows. So right now we are going to work the finish this end before we go down the other side to finish the rest of the perimeter round. So it's a little different than what I've done in the past. So if you could just try to stay with me. So now after we complete, this is row 3, we are going to chain 2. I'm going to go ahead and turn this around. And now we're going to begin working the woven stitch. This is a little different of a stitch. We haven't done it yet in this particular project. Okay, and the way we work this is we're going to work it in every other stitch across the row of single crochet. Then when we do the rows after that, we're just going to work in between the woven stitches, and you'll understand when I get to that point. Okay, so I'm going to try to make this as easy as possible to see. To do this stitch, we're going to skip the first stitch. We wrap our hook first, we stick it into the next stitch, working under both loops, pull up a loop, we pull the hook through one of the loops on the hook, yarn over again, and then pull through 2. We're halfway finished with that first stitch. We wrap the hook again, stick it into the same place, pull up a loop. We do not wrap it the second time, and we just pull it through the 2 loops on the hook like that. It's a little bit awkward at first, but once your muscle memory picks up on this after you do it a few hundred times, and you know what I mean, you'll get the feel of this. So we're going to skip the next stitch, and we're going to do another woven stitch. Put it in, pull up a loop, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2, wrap the hook again, stick it in the same stitch, pull up a loop, and then just pull through 2. Okay, it has kind of an interesting look to it, and this stitch is reversible. Skip the next stitch, wrap the hook, put the hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, or pull through 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, put it in the same place, pull up a loop, and pull through 2. Do not wrap the hook the last time for that second half. Skip another stitch, yarn over, put the hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert the hook again, pull up a loop. Do not wrap this time, just pull through the 2 loops that are on the hook. We do that again. Skip the next stitch, yarn over, stick it in the next stitch, pull up a loop, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, put the hook in the same place, pull up a loop, and then pull through 2. So go ahead and do this all the way across to the corner. Okay, I end this row by working the last bottle stitch in the last single crochet. Okay, I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to turn. Now for rows 5 through 10, that'll be the next 6 rows. They're going to be worked in the same manner. After I chain 2, I'm going to work waddle stitches. In between the waddle stitches, there's a significant space. It should be very easy for you to see, unless your waddle stitches are the woven stitches rather. If the woven stitches are too tight, then you may need to go up to a larger hook, but there should be plenty of room in between. Okay, so we just begin working our woven stitches just in between the woven stitches of the previous row, and when you get to the end, you work your last woven stitch in the chain 2 space. So go ahead and do this for the next 6 rows. So when we finish we should have, counting the row that we've already completed, we should have 7 rows of woven stitch total. Okay, after finishing rows 5 through 10, you should have 7 rows of woven stitch. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You should have the back side of the throw facing you as you work this final round. And we are on row 11, which is the shells. We're going to chain 1, and the directions say working in the spaces between. So we're going to be working in the spaces between the woven spaces. Okay, woven stitches rather. We're going to skip the next space here, and in the next space, which is right here, we're going to work 4 treble crochets. Let's go ahead and do that. It's 2, 3, and 4. So we have our 4 treble crochets completed, and now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to work a slip stitch in the 3rd chain from the hook, so that would be 1, 2, 3, the first chain that we chained. Make a slip stitch, which forms our little picot, and then we're going to work 4 more treble crochets, all in that same space between the 2 woven stitches. Okay, after we do that, we're going to skip the next stitch. We're going to single crochet in the next space. Okay, now that we finished the first shell with the picot, this is what we're going to do all the way across. Okay, we're going to skip the next stitch, work 4 treble crochets in the next. We're working between in the space between the treble crochets. Okay, so after I have 1, 2, 3, 4 trebles, chain 3, slip stitch in the first chain or the 3rd chain from the hook, and then we do 4 more treble crochets. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to skip the next stitch or the next space between the stitches, and then single crochet in the next. So we're going to work this all the way across the end here. Okay, I have worked the shell with the picot all the way across, if you can see that, and I'm going to skip the next stitch, and I'm going to work the last single crochet in the chain 2 space. So this should have worked out for you. Okay, so I'm going to give that a little tug. I'm going to give it a chain, pull it a little tight, and I'm going to fasten this off, leaving a nice at least 4 to 5 inch strand or longer, so that I have enough to thread into the yarn needle and hide that thread. So this end is done. Okay, this is seen from the back side. Let me show you what it looks like from the front side here. Okay, so this is a nice edging, and this side is completed. All I need to do is hide some loose threads, but now we need to do the other side, and let me show you how to do that. We're going to have to rejoin our yarn, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so now that we have the front side facing, and this is the end where we need to work the finishing edging, or the end on, and this is the edge which has not been worked yet. Remember, the other side is going to have that knurl. This side will not have anything. This is actually the foundation chain. So I'm going to go ahead and join with the slip stitch. Okay, and I am going to work a single crochet in this first stitch, and in each stitch across. Also notice I'm going to be hiding this loose strand as I go. Be one less strand to deal with when I finish. So I'm going to work single crochet all the way across, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to work the knurl stitch all the way across, just like I did earlier in the video. If you need additional stitch help, I would suggest you can actually start this video again, and then when you come back, we're going to be turning to work across the back edge. We're going to work our 144 stitches evenly across, just like we did before, and then we're going to work our 7 rows of woven stitch, and then finish off with the picot shell. So again, if you need more stitch support to see that again, you can just simply go back to the beginning of this video and start with the single crochet row followed by the knurl stitch, and then it should carry you through to the end. Okay, there's one more thing that I need to show you. Okay, this is probably one of the most important things in the project, and that's finishing off all these loose ends. How in the world do we do this? Well, let me show you an easy way and a quick way and a secure way to do this. I'm using a yarn needle and has a large head so that you can thread the yarn into it, and this makes hiding them much faster, much easier, and much more secure. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run this thread or this needle down into one of these stitches here, and also notice that I am working with the back side facing so that you won't even see this from the front side. Okay, so I'm going to pull that thread down out of sight, and then I'm going to actually run it up under the base of all these other threads. There's no particular rule to how to do this, except that you want to make sure that you hide enough of the thread that it won't come out and won't be a problem. Okay, so I think I've hidden enough of that, and I'm going to very carefully cut the thread so that I'm not cutting my stitches, only the thread. So now that thread is sufficiently hidden. So now I've got a bunch of others, and you can even do this 2 at a time, or at least I have done this successfully for years. If you can thread 2 threads when they're tied together like these are, and I'm just going to run it down into some of the stitches to try to securely hide this a little bit better. I think that could be enough, but let me do this a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to run it down under all of those. Take my scissors and very carefully give it a trim, and as you can see, that is hidden from sight, and the bulkiness of the yarn can handle working it in this way. Okay, and I've got probably about another 20 of those to hide, but this ends our tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, I just encourage you to subscribe to my channel. Just hit that little red button, and there'll be a lot more coming to you in the near future. God bless. Bye-bye.